February 23, 2026. The United States Air Force signs a $4.5 billion deal to accelerate B-21 RAIDER production by 25%. February 28, 2026. Operation Epic Fury begins. 5 days. The most consequential aircraft in the American arsenal, the platform the Air Force has been building toward for a decade, was 5 days from a production acceleration that couldn't help it, and years from being deployable in combat. 2 B-21 test aircraft were flying at Edwards Air Force Base as of September 2025. They are test aircraft, not combat aircraft, and Iran's 30 underground missile bases were not going to wait for Ellsworth Air Force Base's 2027 operational entry date. The B-21 RAIDER is not a concept. It is not a proposal. It exists. It flies. And it was completely absent from the war that needed it most. The B-2 Spirit was conceived in the 1980s. Designed to penetrate Soviet air defenses in a war that ended before the aircraft entered service. 19 aircraft total. The entire fleet. Each one irreplaceable. 119 maintenance hours for every hour of flight time. 37-hour round trips from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri into Iranian airspace and back. The B-2 has validated the principle of stealth penetration since 1997. It works. Contested airspace, integrated air defense networks, hardened underground targets. The B-2 can reach what other aircraft cannot. But it was never designed to sustain a campaign at this tempo. The Air Force knew this. That's why the B-21 exists. More maintainable, more survivable. Designed from the ground up for exactly the threat environment that Operation Epic Fury presented. The transition was planned. The timeline was set. And by mid-April 2026, 50% of Iran's missile launchers remained intact. Here is the paradox at the center of this conflict. The war proved the B-21 was the right aircraft, and proved it arrived too late. Every mission the B-2 flew over Iran, demonstrating the irreplaceable value of low observable stealth penetration in contested airspace, was a real-time validation of the B-21's design rationale. The Air Force has been making this argument since 1997. Operation Epic Fury confirmed it with data. The problem? The confirmation came with 19 aircraft instead of the 100 or more that were supposed to exist by now. And here is where the paradox sharpens. The $4.5 billion production acceleration signed on February 23rd was the correct decision. The 25% rate increase was necessary. The logic was sound. The war began 5 days later. The decision was right. The timing was a disaster. And no procurement system in the world has a mechanism for compressing years of production into days because a conflict started ahead of schedule. If you've never seen a procurement timeline mapped as an adversary's attack surface, this channel does exactly that. Not the Air Force press release, not the contractor briefing, the gap between what was promised and what flew when the war began. Subscribe. Because the next window is already open. Someone just hasn't stepped through it yet. Iran's 30 underground missile bases were not a surprise. They were a known target set. Intelligence had them mapped. The Air Force had plans for them. The problem was never finding them. It was reaching them. Hardened underground facilities require penetrating strike aircraft that can operate inside contested airspace and deliver weapons with the precision and penetration characteristics to destroy what is buried beneath reinforced concrete. The B-2 is one of the only platforms on Earth capable of this mission profile. There are 19 of them. The tempo required to work through 30 underground facilities, while managing maintenance cycles, crew rest, tanker availability, and attrition risk on an irreplaceable fleet exceeded what 19 aircraft could sustain. By mid-April, the math had produced its answer. 50% of Iran's missile launcher capacity survived. Not because stealth penetration failed, because there wasn't enough of it. Send more aircraft. The B-1B is scheduled for retirement and cannot penetrate contested airspace. The B-52 is a standoff platform. It cannot survive inside Iranian air defenses. The only penetrating strike aircraft in the American inventory is the B-2. There are 19. Use standoff weapons. The Air Force ordered 4,300 JASSM missiles after Epic Fury. But standoff weapons against hardened underground targets deliver different effects than a penetrating strike from a low observable platform at close range. The physics are different. The results are different. Accelerate the B-21. Already done. The $4.5 billion deal was signed. The 25% production increase is real. The first combat-coded aircraft still won't be ready until 2027. Acceleration does not produce aircraft that do not yet exist. Build the network. The B-21's full operational concept requires collaborative combat aircraft, F-22, and F-35 suppression of enemy air defenses, EA-18G electronic jamming, space-based ISR integration, and tanker capacity that is already stressed to its limit. Defense Secretary testimony in April 2026 described a networked ecosystem that requires years of parallel development to realize. None of it was ready for Epic Fury. The aircraft was right. The ecosystem it needed didn't exist yet either. The unexpected hero of Operation Epic Fury is the aircraft everyone is writing off. The B-2 Spirit, conceived during the Cold War, designed for a Soviet adversary that no longer exists. Flying 37-hour missions at 119 maintenance hours per flight hour, a sustainment burden that was never supposed to define a 21st century air campaign. And it worked. The B-2 flew into Iranian airspace through one of the most sophisticated integrated air defense networks in the Middle East and delivered strikes against hardened targets that no other aircraft in the coalition could reach. In 2026, with an airframe designed in the 1980s. That is not a legacy aircraft limping through a conflict it wasn't built for. That is a validation of the fundamental design principle the B-21 was built to extend. Stealth penetration survives in contested airspace, demonstrated under combat conditions, at operational tempo, against a real adversary. The B-2 didn't fail. It proved the doctrine correct under conditions it was never supposed to face alone. That is not a legacy problem. That is a quantity problem, and quantity has a different solution than design. Zoom out further, and the shape of the problem becomes structural. The B-21 was planned at a minimum of 100 aircraft. Defense analyst Jack Buckby argued before the Senate Armed Services Committee on April 28 that the number should be closer to 200 because availability rates, maintenance cycles, and surge capacity requirements make 100 insufficient for a peer conflict. The comparison is direct. 19 B-2s at 119 maintenance hours per flight hour. 100 B-21s at a significantly lower maintenance burden. 200 if the threat calculus demands it. But the B-21 is not just an aircraft. It is the centerpiece of a networked strike concept that requires a decade of parallel investment to realize. Collaborative combat aircraft as loyal wingmen. Space-based ISR feeding targeting data in real time. Tanker fleets capable of sustaining 37-hour missions across a distributed force. F-22 and F-35 packages clearing the electronic and kinetic environment ahead of penetrating strike. None of that network was ready for Epic Fury. The B-21 will enter service at Ellsworth in 2027. The network it requires will take longer. And the adversary this system was truly designed for, China, presents a target environment where Iranian air defenses are the baseline, not the ceiling. The institutional miscalculation was quiet, and it happened years before the first B-2 took off for Iran. The decision to set the B-21's operational entry at 2027 was based on a peacetime assumption that the transition from B-2 to B-21 could proceed on schedule because the conflicts that would demand penetrating strike capability would also arrive on schedule. They didn't. 2 test aircraft at Edwards in September 2025. Operational entry at Ellsworth in 2027. That window, 18 months of combat critical capability gap, was considered an acceptable risk in peacetime. Operation Epic Fury started February 28, 2026. The B-1B, scheduled for retirement, is still flying missions it was supposed to hand off to the B-21. The KC-46 and KC-135 tanker fleets are operating under a sustainment stress they were not designed to absorb at this tempo. The entire bomber enterprise is running past its design transition timeline because the transition assumed the next war would wait. The adversary didn't create this window. The procurement schedule did. And Iran simply started the war while the window was open. The B-21 is the right aircraft. At 100 aircraft, or 200, it is the correct long-term investment. The $4.5 billion production acceleration is correctly spent. The Senate Armed Services Committee testimony reflected genuine urgency, not political theater, not budget maneuvering. The program leadership understands what Epic Fury revealed. The networked force the B-21 requires cannot be rushed without degrading its effectiveness. Collaborative combat aircraft, integrated ISR, suppression packages. These take years to develop and field correctly. Compressing that timeline introduces risk of a different kind. This is not an argument against the B-21. It is an argument that the aircraft needed to enter service in 2024, not 2027, and that the original decision to cap the program at 100 aircraft before Epic Fury demonstrated what 19 B-2s could and could not do needs to be revisited with data that now exists. The war provided that data. The question is whether the acquisition system can actually respond to it. The war that validated everything the Air Force has been saying about stealth penetration was fought without the aircraft built to validate it. The B-21 will enter service. The network will be built. The capability the doctrine promised will eventually exist. But the next conflict will not check the production schedule before it begins. The right aircraft, the wrong moment, and a procurement system that still hasn't found a mechanism for pricing that gap before the adversary does it for them. Subscribe, because the next timeline failure is already written into a program somewhere, and someone is already counting the months until the window opens.